Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Let's talk about the newest version of Saboteur, The Lost Mines. The reason why I say the newest version is because there was originally Saboteur and Saboteur 2, which was an expansion for the first game. But this one is the first board game version. It's the same type of thing. It's a hidden identity, almost tile placement game. So you're dwarves, and you're starting at one side of the board, trying to make a path over to the other side of the board where you can get some treasure. And you're playing cards from your hand to make the path in sort of a bit of a tile placement-y way. Now, the big twist is that there are different teams, you know. In the original game, it was just we're all working together, but somebody is secretly a saboteur, or two or three people are secretly saboteurs, and you don't know who. Saboteur 2 added a lot more complexity to it by making a team mode. And in here, it really feels like this is the base game and the they took ideas from the base game and the expansion and kind of mix it together to make one game. Because it really feels like there are a lot of action cards. So you're playing path cards, but also some of the cards that you could get are obstacles that you can put in front of, the opposite team, and some actions that are just basically saying, hey, I'm not playing a path right now, but I'm going to say that, you can't cross this path until my next turn, or I'm going to lightning bolt this card and remove it so I can replace it with something else, or just, hey, I'm going to put a troll here that says, if you pass through this area right here, you're going to lose a card from your hand or something. Just little actions and obstacles and things to make it a bit more interesting than just playing a bunch of path cards. Now, when I said it's like mixing the two together, it's like, they re-released the base game with the expansion, is that there are a decent amount of those cards, the actions and obstacles and stuff. It's about the same, I'd say, maybe slightly less, but it's about the same of the base game and the expansion mixed together. And also the fact that there are teams, but there could also be still saboteurs. Like in the first one, it was just you all on the same team, and somebody's trying to mess with it. In this version with the two teams, it's saying, okay, we're all on team blue and you're all on team yellow. If anybody from team blue gets to the gold, we'll all share the gold. If any of team yellow gets to the mine, they'll all share the gold. But everybody gets a role card in their team color that says either they are loyal to their team, they're playing completely by themselves, meaning if they get to the gold, they don't share with anybody, or that they're secretly playing for the other team. So it does a really good job of, making it to where, oh, I want to trust you, but I don't know if I can. Or you initially really don't trust the other team. You're initially you're team yellow, just stay over on team yellow. And team blue, you're I want to trust everybody on team blue, but I might not be able to. And also with depending on the player count, you're well, it's pretty much guaranteed that one of you is working for the other team. I just don't know who, I just think this type of game flows together really well. I've always liked Saboteur. I played the original and thought it was great. I really liked what the expansion adds, and I really like this. Now, I don't think it's too different from the expansion in the base game, where do you feel like you need to own all three? I don't know if I would, say that it's a requirement to own all three. If you don't have any, I would definitely say this, because it's kind of the best of the both worlds. Probably the biggest thing that it adds an actual board. In regular Saboteur, you just kind of had an imaginary grid, or I think you could put out the rules, and I think it had little markings, for this is where the cards would go, kind of. But really, you just had an imaginary grid. You just kind of spaced it out, which I guess was kind of cool because you weren't really limited by you don't look at the edge of the board and say, oh, that's the edge of the board. But it is just an overall nicer production quality and everything. It feels like a real solid board game. I mean, of course, there's benefits to being able to carry that small little deck of cards with you and take it wherever. It still takes up a lot of table space, so even though it's a small box, you can't really play it on a plane type of thing. My biggest negative with the game is the player count says it's 3 to 9 players. And original Saboteur said that too. And in social deduction games, it's usually the more the merrier. And it might hit a bit of a bell curve type of thing where there is a peak amount of players where this is perfect. Any more, it starts getting a little diluted, and any less, it's, it's not as good. like I've played this game. I played this game at 3 players, and it technically works, but it's really, I don't know. It's definitely a more the merrier. I'd say like 5 or 6 is probably like the sweet spot, because I played it at 7 and it started to feel like a little bit too long. Like especially with new players and stuff, trying to figure out what does this card mean, what does that card mean, all the different actions. You have to pass the rules around a lot. So when it comes to my turn, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna play this one card, or I can't play any cards. So I'm just gonna discard a card. And I'm gonna sit here for like another 10 minutes until it becomes my turn again. Now, that is slightly offset by the fact that when there is a lot of people, it gets that kind of that party atmosphere, where there's a lot of energy. Where, Team Yellow goes, I'm Team Blue, and I see someone on Team Yellow go, oh, I'm going to put this obstacle in front of my teammate. And we go, oh, snap, he's on our team! Like, that can be really fun, and those moments are great. But those moments are still there in a 5 and 6 player game, And again, not saying that it's bad, but when you get to those higher play counts, expect there to be some downtime and expect it to take kind of a long time. I don't know if I would really want to do this with 9. I would do 7 again, but again, it's the bell curve. It has a nice. I wouldn't do 3 players again, probably. Like it's just where like you're like, technically it works, but I can pretty much, there are enough cards in the game where I can figure out eventually who everyone is, and like the process of elimination is really pretty simple. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't do that again. Outside of that minor complaint about the player count, I don't really have any other complaints about this version. Like, I really like Saboteur. I know it's not going to be for everybody, because while it is a social deduction game, it has a lot of board gamey elements. A lot of times people are going to be, oh, I didn't draw the right path card I needed. I can't really do anything, so it's not going to, like, the resistance is one of those social deduction games that's just a hit every single time. I almost never have anybody not like it. With this, it's possible for people to not like I can understand where they, it's a bit of a mismatch, again, with trying to play the right path card, and trying to not let your identity come out. Also, a little bit of that luck of the draw of, oh, I'm going to put this obstacle in front of you, so you need to draw the right card that can get rid of that obstacle. You just don't for a while. That can be real frustrating. But like I said, I really enjoyed the game. This is probably the best version of Saboteur I've seen so far, and I would highly recommend it if any of what I was talking about sounds interesting to you. But, if you're into social deduction games and you think that this wouldn't be a bad mishmash, that you think it would work well for your group, I'm going to put a purchase link to this game in the description box down below. Go ahead and get yourself a copy. And hey, while you're down there, you know what to do. Subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.